Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Monster vs. Monster on the D&D CR Exposed YouTube channel. You're here live with me, Andrew, and we're gonna put some monsters up against monsters today. So, what are we looking at today? Well, if the thumbnail and title didn't give it away, we are looking at giants versus dragons. Now, obviously we could have gone crazy big on this, but we'll just say this is a small detachment of the main forces of giants and dragons that are, facing against each other. Big time requests from the Discord here, as many people wanted to see what would happen in the lore of D&D and the dragons and giant wars that happened however many years ago in the main storylines here. And with that, let's get some of the business out of the way. If you're curious as to what VTT I'm using, as always, it's Foundry. I love Foundry, switched from Roll20, so go ahead and get yourself a copy of that if you haven't already. Fantastic and totally worth the money. The map is by, as I always say, Chez and Peku. I have no idea how to pronounce the first guy's name because it's just CZE, but patreon.com/ChezPeku. That's where you can get this battle map, which was pretty fitting for the occasion as to where we were fighting, since it's a grand battle here. Could you call one of them Pyros, please? One of the dragons, that is, because I do have a red dragon here, red adult dragon, Clawpaw. And what else do we have for business? That's pretty much it. The tokens are all standard D&D tokens, so nothing different there. Didn't have a chance to look for anything special, but we have a variety of different monsters going on here. Alright, so let's see here. Still waiting on Clawpaw's response for which one he would want to be called. Peros or Pyros? And we will go from there. Let's see here. So, while we get to that, okay. For our dragons, we have an adult red dragon, who was originally called Vioseg the Longtail. We will now rename him to Pyros. And then we also have Boy Pior Warmheart, the adult silver dragon. And if you're wondering why are chromatic and metallic dragons working together, you'd have to know the lore. I was told that it didn't really matter at the time being because of the giants and the dragon wars, so I'm going with that. And up in the top here, we have a storm giant by the name of Odious. We have a cloud giant by the name of Kilog. And we have a fire giant by the name of Slatness, all working together for whatever they were going on with. Pyros. Okay. Like apple pie. Pyros? Okay, Pyros. Like apple pie. Gotcha. Thank you, Clawpaw. So, these are our combatants. We have 3 giants versus 2 dragons, and we'll have to see what happens here. Just to double check our adult dragons to make sure we do have legendary actions, so we will be using those. We don't have lair actions to worry about, so we can omit all of those, but we do have 3 uses of legendary resistances for our dragons and 3 legendary actions. So this is going to put, the battle maybe a little one-sided for the dragons. We'll see what happens here. And we do also have legendary actions as well for the silver dragon, obviously. Detect, tail attack, and wing attack. So, without waiting any longer, let's go ahead and add our combatants to the tracker and get into our first round of combat. Go ahead and add in our dragons first. So we have Bopior, the Warmheart, and Pyros, excuse me. And our giants, Kilog, Odious, and Slatness. And with that, no, let's not remove anything there. Let's begin round 1 of combat and roll dice. Alright, and with our dice out of the way, we have, it looks like our silver dragon going first, followed by our red dragon, and then finally all of our giants. Sauron the Dark Lord. The fight probably going to be dependent on breath recharges. Oh, for sure, Sauron. That is going to be a big thing there. Okay, so it looks like our dragons are going first, and then the giants. Good for the dragons, terrible for the giants. Let's begin round 1. Okay, so starting with round 1, our dragon here can fly 80 feet and is probably going to go in right for the grouping here and hit with the breath weapon. Might as well. So we're going to say that our dragons are probably easily 50 feet up in the air. just for the sake of them flying into combat. So we'll say they're 50 feet in the air, and they'll have some kind of relative cone that they'll be able to go with here. So we're going 80 feet up as close as we can. Ooh, that is slow movement for those big tokens. And we are going to then go for the breath weapon here. So we have a whole bunch of options, and we have cold breath or paralyzing breath. As I usually generate the CRs based off of their, damaging attacks, we're going to go with the cold breath first. So we're going to go ahead and place our template down, and sure enough, we can easily get all of the giants in one shot here. But we would probably go from there. So here we go. That is a whole bunch of damage, a total of 54 points of damage. And we have, let's see here, 3 successes as all of our giants were able to beat the DC 20 Constitution save with a 30, 25, and 21. That means they take only half the damage, and we can move on to our Fire Dragon next. Okay, we'll get rid of that template. That marks the end of our Silver Dragon's turn, and we will move on to the Red Dragon. So, coming over here, we are going to also move into range. Easily, let's see here, 80 feet. Let's not go too terribly close, but we'll go to somewhere like, right about there. So, our Red Dragon's going to come flying in as well, and use their Fire Breath to rain havoc down on the giants. Ah, yes, I forgot all about the voting. All right, so let me pull a poll up. We're going to go with the underdog here. I think the giants are the underdogs. Will the giants pull off the W? Let's see what the community thinks here. Will the giants win this battle or not? Okay, so continue on with Pyros's movement here. He's gone 70 feet up and will then do a Fire Breath. And once again, we can easily get all the giants in on this Fire Breath attack. Big old flame damage, lots of D6s for a total of 66 damage. And this requires a 21 dexterity save. They're giants. None of them passed. They're all taking the full 66 points of damage. Already, we almost have Kilog at half health and bloodied. Meanwhile, the fire giant took no damage from that, I believe, because, he's immune to fire, as we can see. But the storm giant and the cloud giant both take full damage, unfortunately. And that is the end of Pyros' turn. Although he can back up a little bit. So what we'll have him do, just for the sake of it, since he has 10 more feet of flying movement, is to back up. Because, evil dragons be evil. Get burned, for sure. Alright, Kilog is up and seeing what's going on here. Kilog, knowing that everyone's at a bit of a disadvantage here, is going to target Slatness with a spell. And it's a good thing I noticed this just beforehand. Let's target him again. Go to our cloud giant here, and we're going to cast a lovely little spell of Fly. And we're going to give our fire giant here flying, because, well, he can't really do much else from where he's at as it is. So, he's going to hit that Fly spell. Cloud giant's target is 10 feet away, and your range is only 5. Okay, so I guess I have to touch. There we go. We will do that. And just so I know what's going on, let's see here. 50 feet high, you said, so they can run and jump and grapple and try to knock them prone if they are already about 20 to 25 feet tall. Yeah, that's a possibility. We definitely could do something like that if we wanted to. For whoever can't get up into the air, maybe Kilog does that next. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, so let me do this once more. I just want to double check the fly spell, because he's using it at base level, so I think it's only one target. Yeah, all right, so it's just one target. All right, and he's going to hit him with the fly spell. Okay, so he is now officially flying. Kilog is concentrating on the fly spell, and that is about all that this giant can do for the time being. So he's now going to get rid of targeting and probably spread out a little bit, because, they just got hit with 2 flame breaths before they could even react. So that was 5 feet. He's going to hop down, and we'll say come on over to here. Spread out a little bit. Okay. Odious is next, and Odious is going to... Well, I was initially going to have him do his lightning strike ability, which he probably still is going to do, unless he can get the dragons within, what is it, 10 feet of that point. So unfortunately, he won't be able to do the lightning strike like he would like to, unless he wants to hit one person. And otherwise, he'd have to throw or maybe even jump up. What's the VTT? The VTT is Foundry, Jack of Hats. I love Foundry, and hopefully you get a chance to use Foundry at some point as well. It's a fantastic, fantastic VTT that you can throw a whole bunch of mods on, which I've already done myself. Well, let's see here. So, what else can we do here? We do have some innate spellcasting, and what do we have in this spellbook here? We have Levitate, Featherfall, Detect Magic, Water Breathe, Control Weather, and Light. Not really much is going to help here, except for maybe the Levitate, but beyond that, I don't see really anything else that could help. Yeah, Foundry is fantastic. You know what? Because our rock isn't going to do too terribly much for damage, I mean, it's 35 points of damage, which is half of the lightning strike. We're just going to give him a good old rock chuck for now and see what happens. Maybe he can get into a better position later. And he's going to come on over to here, spread out some more so that the dragons can't do their flame breaths, and is going to target the dragon and chuck a rock. Best he can do right now. And that's an 18 plus for the 32 to hit, dealing 20 points of bludgeoning damage to our silver dragon. And our dragons have taken a little bit of damage here. Ah, yes, very good. Good to see that, Jack. Yeah, this is giving you that nice intro to Foundry for sure. Okay, that is Odysseus' turn, and how far did he move? He moved just a little bit. We'll say he can go a little bit further just to get out of that multiple breath weapons range here. And last we have Slatnus, who is currently flying. And Slatnus is going to just zoom on up. Let's see here. He got 60 feet of flying, and he can basically go in a diagonal towards the dragon without getting into like PEMDAS here and doing our A squared plus B squared stuff. We're just going to say it's enough range to get him up there and flying. Maybe 45 feet, but in any event, he's up there now. So we'll say, just to be fair, 45 feet up, which is only 5 feet away from the dragon anyways, and he's going to go in for an attack of 2 greatsword attacks. Alright, first strike on the silver dragon. 13 plus, 24 to hit total, and that is a meaty hit for 30 points of slashing damage against the dragon, followed by another greatsword attack. And this one misses our silver dragon by... how much did that miss by? Ooh, 1 point. Only 1 point here with our AC check. That's unfortunate, as the giant is still getting control of how to fly, you know, with their feet off the ground and swing a greatsword at the same time. And that ends round 1 with nobody defeated yet, but a lot of the giants taking some nasty damage. So first up, we have our dragon here, Bopure, and he's going to go for a recharge check. Let's see if he gets that recharge. And unfortunately, that is not going to recharge the breath weapon. So, next thing to do is go in for the multi-attack. And with that multi-attack, we get Frightful Presence. It then makes 3 attacks, 1 with its bite and 2 with its claws. And since it's already here, let's go in for that that multi-attack. So, Frightful Presence. Let's see what happens here. Oh, wrong thing. I wasn't supposed to do it like that. Okay. Let me target, what's the range on Frightful? 120? Alright, so all the dragons, or all of the giants are being targeted here. Come on, nope. Alright, here we go. I will just do it like this. There we go. Alright, let's do this one more time. Go for that Frightful Presence here. And we have, let's see here, Slatnus fails, Kilog succeeds, and Odious succeeds with a 26 on the side. Paulo Fulani Jr., hello! Put a goblin in the fight there. In this fight there. Yeah, I can only imagine how rough that would be for the goblin. I don't have any goblins ready, unfortunately. I just have these monsters here for the fight, sadly. Okay, so we have our fails. So Slackness is now feared. And let's see here. Do we have a condition for fear? We should. Frightened. There we go. Perfect. Condition. Frightened. He is now frightened of the dragon, while the other two are not. And then goes in for... what was it? Shoot, I just forgot. Yes. 1 bite and 2 claw attacks. Okay. And this also means he can finally start using some legendary actions as well. Okay. So for the first of the multi-attack, we were going for... Let's see here. First, we got to clear out the attacks. There we go. And then we go in for a bite and 2 claws. My homies hate Slackness. That's funny. Right. So the first hit with the bite is 30 to Slackness, and he takes 24 piercing damage, followed up by 2 claw attacks. 6 looks like it. Ooh, still hits Slackness for 15, and then a second claw attack on Slackness for a total of 25. To hit, that is, with a 15 of total points of 15 damage. Slackness, unfortunately, is bloodied now at this point in the game. Alright, that's going to end Beaupure's turn. We go up to Pyros. Pyros is next. Let's see here. The Brothers of Genius add a single kobold goblin to every fight, and they just try to survive, but ain't allowed to leave the battlefield. That's really, actually quite amusing. Alright, so to make things more interesting, we are first going to do our recharge check on the breath weapon, and then we will see what our Dragon Pyros is going to do next. Alright, so recharge breath for the fire breath. Oh, it does recharge! Let's see, how are we going to maneuver this? We do have the fire giant that unfortunately is immune to all fire damage, while we do have our 2 non-immune so far away that it would probably be better off just to go in for the full attack. So I think to keep things kind of squirrely and, you know, evil dragons being evil, this dragon's going to come over here and land, leaving the silver dragon to fight 2 giants on his own and go and attack Kilog on the ground. Maybe break that concentration check and drop that fire giant to the ground. Oh, Air Doctor, welcome. The stream, I doubt, will drag on. Oh, we'll be in giant trouble. Man, 2 puns in a row. This dude's on fire. Okay. So, Pyros is going to attack Kilog, who's concentrating on flying for Slackness. Let's see what happens when Pyros attacks. Pyros goes in for a bite. And let's see here. That's a hit for 23. He has to make a concentration check and succeeds, holding on to the fly spell for Slackness, followed up by a claw attack. And that is another hit of 20. And wow, Kilog is still holding on to the fly spell for Slackness. But he is also bloodied as well. This may be a quick fight, folks, as we finish up Pyros' attack with a 3rd strike that all hit, dealing another 13 points of damage, and Kilog still succeeds on the flying concentration check. It is amazing, folks, that Kilog was able to not lose the concentration for Slackness, which is good news for him. At the end of Pyros' turn, Beaupure is going to take a legendary action and take a tail attack against Slackness. Since, you know, he's got 3 legendary actions, and I don't want to forget to use them. Josh D, welcome in. Foundry is great. Can't recommend it enough. Pay for the $100 and you're set for a year of gaming. Actually, it's $50 just for the game alone, and then you can host self-host it, and you're good. So maybe $100 if you're doing hosting with the company. Yes, Kilog is definitely in trouble with only, 25-30% left of their hit points. But Beaupure is going to go in for a tail attack against Slackness. Let's see what happens there with the tail attack. Base 9 to hit, 22 total damage, or 22 to hit with an 18 of total of 18 damage, and a bludgeoning strike to Slackness. Slackness, being a CR9, is not doing so hot here. He was just there to fill the remaining CR draft picks. Showing them no mercy. Don't let a single one away. For sure. Okay, so that is 1 legendary action for Beaupure. Next we will go for Kilog, and Kilog is going to do what? We don't have much in ways of spells for him to do, and since this is the War of Dragons and Giants, they're going to hold their ground trying to defeat the dragons as much as possible. There isn't much he can do here except for attack Pyros, so that's all he's going to do. Maybe he'll shift a little bit over to here. Let's see, can I get him to move? Oh, that's right, because I'm doing something different. Okay, we'll have him shift over to stay as far away as possible, so the breath weapons are more or less useless. And we will go in for that attack on Pyros. Okay. And we get, what is it, 2 Morningstar attacks? Yes, 2 Morningstar attacks against Pyros. Swing number 1, and it's a 19 base, total 31 to hit, with 18 points of bludgeoning, actually piercing damage, excuse me. And the second strike as Kilog comes back with a backhand for 11 base, 23 total to hit, and that is 16 points of damage. First bit of damage to our adult red dragon here. Let's see what happens in a little bit. Wade, hey bud. Hey all, good to catch one this week. Yes, glad you could make it. Thank you for joining. Okay, that is Kilog's turn. And at the end of Kilog's turn, there's going to be some legendary actions, unfortunately. Beaupier is going to take a third legendary action, or second legendary action, and attack Slatness once again. And let's see here. Let's get in for that attack. And we'll do another tail attack. Yes, do we want to proceed? Of course, because this isn't actually a reaction. This is a legendary action. And that is a hit for 17 points of damage from another tail strike. As Beaupier is flying in the air, fighting hand-to-hand with a fire giant. And then we also have a legendary action from our adult red dragon against Kilog here. And I think Kilog's going to get a nasty little tail surprise as the tail comes swinging around from Pyros. And that also, with a base 7, still hits. Concentration check, 29 from Kilog. Kilog is still holding on to the fly spell for Slatness. I'm impressed, folks. 17 more points of damage to Kilog, and Kilog is almost out of this fight, sadly, as we are only halfway through round 2. Moving on, we go to Odious. Odious is now going to... it's going to take this chance. It might as well throw a lightning bolt at Beaupier here. So let's get that targeting over to that. And we will have Odious throw their lightning strike. Looks like the dragons are winning despite numbers, disadvantage thanks to legendary actions. That is for sure. Okay, so 46 total points of damage, and Beaupier fails the dexterity check as he takes the full 46 points of damage. Probably should have done that on round 1, but you know, I was supposed to pick a range or something? Anyways, looks like our silver dragon takes a good amount of damage and is almost bloodied from that strike. Okay, moving on. At the end of Odious's turn, our dragons take their legendary actions. The last one for our silver and our second one for our red. Once again, Slatness is going to be struck with the tail attack. And let's see here. I'm gonna make sure I got that targeted. Okay, one more tail attack from our silver dragon. And that is going to be a 19 to hit base, 32 total, and 15 more points of bludgeoning. Slatness is bloodied, unfortunately, and still feared, by the way. That is the end of his turn, and then we move on to Pyros, who's going to target Kilog once again. Maybe he can drop that concentration. This has been the 5th attack on him, and Kilog is really holding on strong to that concentration spell. Here comes the tail attack, and we have a base of... Ooh, it's a critical hit! 34 total for 32 points of damage. But wouldn't you know it, Kilog still holds on to that concentration for 29 rolled there on that con save. My goodness, this guy can hold a spell in his head. Why didn't he align to strike both dragons at once with lightning bolt? That's a good question, because it was a point in space, not an actual lightning strike, if I recall correctly. The giant hurls a magical lightning bolt at a point you can see within 105 feet. Each creature within 10 feet of that point makes a DC 10 dex save. So it's not like your traditional lightning bolt spell. This is a lightning strike. That's the difference. Otherwise, I definitely would have had them line up a little better. Let's see here. So, where was I? Right. Kilog succeeds, holds on to the spell, but he is basically in critical condition and at death's door. Will he be able to hold out at the end of round 2? Probably not. You know, Pyros crits, Pog, my streamers, for sure. That is the end of Odysseus' turn here in round 2. We go to Slatness, who's not looking so hot, but is going to continue the attack as much as possible. And we move on to targeting our silver dragon here and see what our, fire giant can do for attacks. All right, so we go in for the greatsword attack. Number 1 against the silver dragon with a base 4. That is unfortunately a greatsword miss. Second strike as he swings back around for a total of 28 to hit and deals 30 slashing damage to our silver dragon, who is finally bloodied at the bottom of round 2. And as Slatness's turn ends, we go to Pyros is going to take a legendary action here, as Pyros is still 45 feet up in the air and not paying attention to what's going on around him or the status of our cloud giant. And that is going to be a tail attack, a last legendary action that Pyros can do for this round, and goes in for the strike against Kilog. Okay, so we got that all sorted out, and the last tail attack it can do. And that is a 16 base, which is definitely a hit for 30 total, and that's 19 points of damage. The fly spell drops, and Slatness falls to the ground. Now here's a weird thing. These guys are like 25 feet tall, you were saying 25 feet? So they're technically only falling about 20? So yeah, I'm going to say he's going to take 2d6 worth of fall damage as he falls 20 feet to the ground. Alright. So we're going to put that at 0. He falls to the ground, and he's going to take 2d6 over on the side here. For a total of 7 points of damage as he falls, hits, and it's just like the as the ground shakes and as he hits the ground hard. Minus 7 points of damage. And Slatness is back on the ground with Kilog defeated. I guess a little bit of divide and conquer worked in favor for these dragons. Yes, as we have our first defeat here of the cloud giant. So we'll update that. We now have 2 giants remaining, and we move on to the top of round 3. And round 3, we have a recharge check coming up for Beaupier here. So let's see if Beaupier gets their breath weapon back. And we have a 4, which does not recheck, or does not recharge the check. Unfortunately, it was a failure. So, what is Beaupier going to do? He's going to come on down and just land. Might as well. And go in for the attack to try and finish it off. Being prone is probably a bigger deal than falling damage. Yeah, you know what? If, what would we say here? Dex check probably to stop from falling prone. Yeah, we'll do like a DC 15 on our fire giant here to see if he can stay from falling. All right, so save dexterity. Oh boy! All right, so yeah, he falls prone as he hits the ground hard and loses his footing. Oh, there's the prone condition. Okay, good. So he's now prone. Actually, let me remove it from there and do it here, because that will give all the appropriate advantages here. All right, so he comes. This dude's prone and now has disadvantage. Yeah, acrobatics, dex save, probably. Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so Beaupier is going to come down and target our prone fire giant for a couple attacks. And the first attack being the bite at advantage, which this should roll now that he's prone. Yes, there we go. At advantage, 10 and 9 base, 23 total to hit, 22 points of damage, and Slatness is on death's door as Beaupier the Silver Dragon does not relish in this, being a pure-hearted dragon, but knows that this dragon giant war must come to an end at some point and goes in for a claw attack. And we have a 12 and 7 base, 25 to hit, and that isn't the end of the fire giant as he is knocked out cold. Well, not really knocked out cold, more like dead. And we have 1 giant left at the top of round 3. And that is the end of Beaupier's turn. Beaupier is going to move into place once I get rid of all that. There we go. And is going to beg that the giant stop attacking and moves into place to get ready for a legendary action attack. Pyros, on the other hand, leaps into the air, being the red dragon that he is. He might have been. I didn't check it actually. No, he had 2 hit points left. If you see over here, 2 minus 2 and 16 total damage. He's now at 0. All right, so Pyros, being the red dragon and evil is as evil does, comes on up to here and goes in for a fire breath attack since, you know, it's recharged. Why not? And standing on top of the the pedestal here, the raised level, is going in for a dominance position. And goes in for the fire breath attack. You know, fire dragons be fire dragons, and he's not going to really care about who he's hitting where. So, unfortunately, the silver dragon's also going to get hit by this. And our silver dragon fails, as well as our storm giant. And, you know, the red dragon's going to take into the idea of like, hey, if I can, you know, pass this off as something else, might as well. And take a chance like, oops, you know, you were in the wrong spot at the wrong time, buddy. And that is a little bit of fire damage on each of the dragon and the giant, because, like I said, evil dragons. That's the end of Pyros' turn, and at the end of Pyros' turn, the silver dragon glares at Pyros and looks at Odious and says, please, do not, do not continue this assault any longer. And goes in for a legendary tail attack against Odious. Yeah, worth it. Optimal play. Very true. So let's see here. Actually, we do have the wing attack, which we could do if we wanted to get up and off the ground. But we'll just do the tail attack, just for the heck of it. Oh, that is a fail on that legendary action, unfortunately. And that will be the end of Pyros' turn, as the legendary action missed. Surprisingly enough. And we go to Odious, who is in a rough state, but goes in for the attack on the silver dragon. May as well, he's right there. Okay, so Odious, being on the ground, first off is going to go for the recharge, I believe, on his lightning strike. Sure enough, and that is a fail with a 4, and then goes in for 2 greatsword attacks on the silver dragon. Oh, and unfortunately that is a complete failure and a miss for the first attack. Coming up for the last and second attack, Odious goes for strike, rolls a base 10, 24 hits with 30 points of slashing damage, and this critically wounds the silver dragon. The giant scoffs and says something to the dragon in giant speak, and then continues on with the attacks here. At the end of the turn, let's see here. Our silver dragon's going to take another legendary action to tail attack, as he cannot talk any sense into the giant, and goes to try and finish him off. Okay, that's going to be a 4 to hit. Base 17, which does hit. That's 16 more points of damage, and that's the end of round 3. Going into round 4, we have Bo Pyrrhic once again going in for the, let's see here, if he can recharge check or not. And we'll recharge the breath weapon, which is a 6 and does succeed. So the question is, do we paralyze or go for the cold breath? At this point, paralyzing may be more beneficial for our silver dragon. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. We're going to try the paralyzing breath here. It goes in for the paralyzing breath, which unfortunately, it looks like Odious succeeds with a 24. I will not explain anything. Okay, Clawpaw. Sadly, the paralyzing breath doesn't work, as the giant is able to easily get past the constitution check with a 24. And we'll get rid of that template there, and we will continue on with Pyros' turn. Pyros comes on over, goes for a recharge check real quick. Let's get rid of that real fast, and then we will see about that fire breath recharge. Ooh, good thing that it doesn't. That silver dragon could have been dead as well if it was if it came down to it. Evil dragons. All right, so with no recourse left but to go in for a flank, the dragon comes off the pedestal and comes into a flanking position. Our giant is now flanked. Let's see here. Toggle the flanked condition, and Pyros goes in for a bite and 2 tail attacks. Yeah, tit for tat for sure. But, you know, good dragons. They're not gonna, you know, gonna do their thing. Okay, so, flanked with the other silver dragon here, the giant is in a rough state as Pyros goes in for a bite attack first. Let's get him targeted up, and bite attack. And that is a 10 base for 24 total to hit, followed up by a claw attack. Oh, that's a critical hit. Our red dragon is on fire with 23 points of damage. Pun not intentional. And then the claw attack, last of the 3 attacks this round. And it looks like we have a 19 total to hit and 17 total damage. And then finally that ends Pyros' turn with a legendary action from our silver dragon, who's going to come in and try and finish this off with a tail attack. We have a base 17, total 30, and that is 23 points of damage, and the silver dragon unfortunately sheds a small tear as his tail comes in, whips the storm giant, and knocks him out, flattening him on the ground. All 3 giants have perished. Let's see here. With this part of the Giants vs. Dragons match over, let's take a look at the poll and see who thought who would win. And it looks like big vote that the Giants, the underdogs of this fight, were not going to win. Yes, will the Giants pull off the win? 84% of the people said no. And it was close. We almost had the silver dragon down, but as we can see with, what is that? 6 total attacks from both dragons. We have an action economy of 12 from them there. And then top 6 from our giants. It was literally a 2-to-1 ratio of action economy here, as our dragons had the upper hand, even though they were outnumbered ever so slightly. Alright, let me catch up with chat real quick, and then we will call this the end of our Monster vs. Monster live stream this week, as this was quite a fun battle with the only 2 criticals from our red dragon here, the evil of all, and of course, most healthy. And who knows, the red dragon may take advantage of the silver dragon's health. Alright, SK Skriznek, thank you for joining. Didn't get a chance to say that beforehand. Should have targeted the red dragon for that. Good dragons are generally not tolerant of chromatics even on a good day, let alone they're getting a face full of fire. That silver is a saint. Yes, the idea is that the giants were a bigger threat than teaming up with a chromatic, so hence why the silver dragon was kind of turning a blind eye to being set on fire. Oh yeah, I don't do that. I just find it funny since they tend to stay at 1 hit point. So yeah, I think next time we do this monster vs. monster, we'll throw like a kobold or a goblin in here, as per suggested before, and see how long they can stay alive, avoiding, you know, AoE damage and whatnot. In the 1,000-Year War, both dragons were fighting in the same side, but at the end they started to split into chromatic metallic. Ah, very good. And that is our quick explanation from Herr Doctor. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this quick one this afternoon. Herr Doctor, Clawpaw, Skriznek. Who else do we have in here? Wade Webster, Paulo, Josh D, Clorox, Jack of the Hats, Sauron, the Dark Lord. Thank you all for joining me. You guys have been amazing, stopping by here and watching as these dragons and giants fought each other. As always, you guys are awesome, and this is me, Andrew, asking the question, are your encounters even rated? Thanks, everyone, and I will see you Friday for CR Exposed night. Until then, have a good week. That's great, Skriznek. Thank you for joining and checking out the live stream. I'm really having a lot of fun with these Monster vs. Monster videos here that I've been doing. So there's a bunch of other ones if you haven't seen them yet. And since you just subbed, you probably haven't. But there's some fun ones there, like Orcs vs. Kobolds, UNT versus Lizard Folk. Most recently, Gith Yankee versus Illithids. That was a good one. Oh, that poor Gith Knight. Oh, man. And a couple others. So yeah, definitely check out the back catalog. There is loads of stuff to check out. And thanks for subbing. All right, everyone. Until then. Yes, great stream as always. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for watching this if you didn't catch it live. You've all been amazing. And I'll see you next time. Good night.